Yes, of course, I'm back. As I would be. Hello guys, welcome, or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I am the Philadelphia Whovian, and yes guys, we're on part 2 of ranking my top 7 favorite first stories of each Doctor from Doctor Who. But before I begin, if you have not seen the rankings before, I'm going to do two things to explain. First, giving you the ones you might not have missed. You might have missed by not watching the first video. Ranking beginning from top 7 down to number 1. First was at top 7. Number 7 was the first Doctor story, An Unearthly Child. Then number 6 was the 12th Doctor story of Deep Breath. Then came the 4th Doctor story of Robot. And then in the controversial 4th place was the 5th Doctor story, Castrovalva. I know, I'm strange for liking it, but there it is. Okay, and also, another little added part about this. Guys, I'm aware of all of the mass mayhem and all of the chaos happening in the world right now, and I know that we're in a serious and frightening time, and I'm can't help but on my channel still talk of fun things every now and again despite it all, but I want to make it very clear that I very much am happy with all of the people who are going out there and protesting and fighting for the rights of Floyd, and also many people who feel like they have been not treated properly by any system of government or any situation that they've been in, from not only here in America but also overseas. I hear in Rome that there are protests and there are people really marching, and that means a lot too as well. And I feel for this has affected people always in Australia, and guys, if it has, like, you feel the compassion for us, that means a lot to me as well. It's absolutely wonderful. And also Germany, there were silent demonstrations, and that is incredible too. It means a lot. It really, really does. And then over in London and Bristol, there also have been some protests and movements as well, including the knocking down of a statue of a person who was a slave holder and all that jazz. It means a lot to us. And guys, over in Britain, that makes it even more wonderful to me because of the simple fact that, well, not only is it cool to see that, wow, this really is affecting everyone and people do care. That was wonderful. But also, a couple days ago, I was a little down in the dumps. I was a part of a Doctor Who live chat, and it was fun to listen to it. But again, I'm a person who likes writing Doctor Who fan fiction, and in that live chat that happened a couple days ago, once again, I was told that, Americans should have not write for Doctor Who or not be a part of Doctor Who at all. And, it hurt to hear that in the chat section where we were responding to each other. It, put me a little down in the dumps. I mean, this has happened to me before, but it happened again recently, and I was a little bit, oh, that hurts. So to see you guys, do that, and all over the world, everyone, thank you for these protests or these marches. Thank you for caring. And in Britain, that just meant a lot to me that you guys did that. So thank you so very much. Okay, now we're going to the part 2 of this set of videos. Yes, coming in at number 3 from the 11th Doctor's era. Yes, the 11th hour. Oh, this is my favorite first story of a new Doctor in all of New Who, by far. This story is perfect. I'm not even going to go into any details about how perfect it is, because I know I'm going to go into details on it later when I finally rank my 11th Doctor stories, when I do a ranking of all his stories. Yes, I'll go into more in depth about that later, but right now I'm just saying it's excellent because I want to talk about something else. In part 1 of this set of videos, and as people who've watched my channel before know, when it came to the 12th Doctor story of Deep Breath, when the 11th Doctor showed up again in the telephone call, I was not upset at all that he did that, and it was not out of favoritism for his Doctor at all. If any Doctor had done that, I would not have really been upset. I'm making it very clear. Any Doctor did it, I would not have been upset. I would have been like, oh, that's a cute little touch. I like that. But a lot of people are upset about it, and if you are upset about it, I admit I don't agree with you. I respect how you feel. But here's why I'm going into that when it came to the 11th hour. Because actually, the 11th hour has to do with another reason why I do not believe anything is wrong with that phone call. Okay, so as we know, the 11th Doctor called Clara at the end of Deep Breath, the 12th Doctor's first story, to try to remind her that, hey, I'm the same guy as this guy here. And, people were in uproar about this. They're like, this showed a lack of confidence in Peter Capaldi's Doctor, and how dare, the 11th Doctor be here. This is absolutely outrageous. This makes no sense whatsoever. There were many, many, many reasons, and none of them worked for me. One, the main example that people gave was, oh, well, because it had never been done before, so this is outrageous. And for me, like I said before, if Doctor Who always did things based on that we did it before, but they never did things under the basis of, well, we never did this before, Doctor Who would not do much. There would not be a big universe or big, a gamut of things that Doctor Who could do. And the second excuse is, I said, well, Patrick Troughton showed up in the Sixth Doctor's first season. Often I get the responses, well, that was not the first episode. Patrick Troughton showed up in his first season in the middle of the Sixth Doctor's first season, but not in his first episode. But to me, I'll say it again, as I said before, that doesn't really work to me, because that goes back to the idea of one man can steal from the cart, but the other man can't look over the hedge. So it's like your rule is, oh, it's okay that Patrick Troughton, who I love, he's one of my favorite Doctors, so I have no problem with Patrick Troughton showing up in Colin Baker's first season. But it's like, it's okay for Patrick Troughton to show up in a whole two-parter, middle of the Sixth Doctor's first season, but we can't have the 11th Doctor show up for a minute and a half in the 12th Doctor's first story. Where are these rules? Where are these rules? Like, you want me to adhere to a logic that doesn't really work for me, because it's not that logical in my eyes. It's how you feel, and that's your idea. That's good, but I can't digest it myself, because it's just, no, where is this rule? And then I got down to watching the 11th Hour. This is where I got to the intense moment. I realized something. People's main complaint about this is saying how, with the 12th Doctor's first story, Deep Breath, that it showed a lack of confidence on Moffat, that he needed Matt to come in to remind people they're the same guy. They actually forgot. I went back and watched this again, and I realized why that argument doesn't work. You thought that, and maybe you're right, that yes, Moffat was a little worried that people might not digest this new, older Doctor. But actually, this is nothing new. He was equally terrified when he did 11th Hour. People often forget that Moffat, when he wrote 11th Hour, he initially signed on to be the head writer, and he had asked David Tennant to come in and play the Doctor for his first season, aka Series 5. David Tennant turned him down, which means that David Tennant did not wish to return to be the Doctor. Of course, Moffat's not going to ask him again to come in at the very end, but here's another thing. Of course, Moffat wouldn't ask David Tennant to come back, not just for that reason, but also because there's no one to come back for. As I said, with a lot of other Doctors, quite a few of the Doctors died companionless. That included the 10th Doctor. Why is the 10th Doctor going to be there for a phone call at the end of the 11th Hour when there's no one to call? Nobody to call. There's no one to call. So what did Moffat do? How could Moffat find some way to help people remember that this is the same Doctor as all the other Doctors? What did Moffat do? He brought in a quick image of all the Doctors. He gonna give you a glimpse of each Doctor, and then once you got onto the 10th Doctor and the camera rested on the 10th Doctor's face, 11 pushes through it and says, "Hello, I'm the Doctor." Moffat did the equivalent of what he did with Deep Breath, but only in here in a way that it could work. There's no reason to call anybody. With the previous incarnation, the 10th Doctor, there's no one to call. All Moffat had was the audience. That's the people he needed to convince that should keep watching the show, even though he is a new Doctor. And here's the thing. People are often saying, again, that Moffat did this showing his lack of confidence in Peter Capaldi, but he was just... Moffat's not made of stone, alright? Moffat was probably terrified that people would not accept maybe Peter for one reason or the other, but that terror didn't stop with Peter. It was there with Matt Smith. People often forget, because I went back at the time and I thought about it, I said, wait a minute, people forget this was the most controversial casting in the history of New Who. You see, Christopher Eccleston was the Doctor for 1 year, and he was only the Doctor for like 3 or 4 episodes before it was announced he was going to be replaced. That's 1 season, not enough time for people to have for not a lot of people to get such an intense attachment before his new Doctor comes in. Then David Tennant comes in, and everybody loves David Tennant. And then Matt Smith took over for David, and everybody hated Matt on principle. So actually, and Moffat was scared. All of them in the background were scared. No one was going to give this doctor a chance. Moffat was a little scared himself, too. So the insecurities of, will someone accept my new doctor, probably not, was there for Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi. It was just done in a different way because it had to be. There was no companion for the 10th Doctor to call, so why would there be a phone call? But what can Moffat do? Give you a quick image of each doctor to help you remind you, help you remember this is the same guy, to assure the audiences, to comfort the audience. Then it rests on the 10th Doctor. The 10th Doctor's there and 11 pushes through. Moffat did the same concept. He just gave you different formulas to that concept because now he had Clara as opposed to with Series 5 where 11 had no one. And if you want to go really into it, I went back to the classic show, and then I got thinking about the one episode, and I went back and watched it, the 4th Doctor's last story, Logopolis. In Logopolis, we have the character of the Watcher. And the Watcher, it turns out, was the Doctor or the spirit or some essence of the 5th Doctor, or all the Doctors, including the 5th Doctor, after the 4th Doctor, who went back to talk to the 4th Doctor and was there all throughout the 4th Doctor's final story, even going so far as to bring Nyssa to the 4th Doctor to prepare the Doctor for, and literally set up his team of companions to be ready for him. So when you really think of it, no, whether you like it or not, whether you like Logopolis or not, the Watcher was the spirit of the Doctor, and that's meaning he's the spirit of the 5th Doctor. The 5th Doctor took place in the 4th Doctor's last story to help him transition, which means the 5th Doctor was watching his previous incarnation have a whole adventure with them before they joined him as the 5th Doctor. Yes, when you think of it, and this is not me altering the facts to fit my views, this is me making sure my views fit the facts. For you to say that doesn't make any sense, you didn't watch the story, or you're altering the facts to fit your views because you realize your views don't really work. The fact is, the idea of a doctor actually watching, or in some way seeing, his previous incarnation interact with the companions beforehand and preparing it for when it happens, for whatever happens next, has been done before. It actually has been done before. If you just bother to watch Logopolis, it's happened. So what were you guys so angry about? If you are angry about it still, okay, that's you, but I just can't jump on the bandwagon. That's why I owe the 11th hour. Because I went back and watched it, and then I leaned forward and I said, every single argument they have with Peter Capaldi's, in the deep breath and being upset that Matt Smith is there, doesn't work when I realize Moffat just did the same thing. He just gave it to you a different way because he gave it to you the only way he could have given it to you. That's the way it is. Sticking with it. Thank you, 11th hour, for giving me another reason to love you. Next we have is number 2. Might shock you, but I love it. Though I don't love the animation. From the 2nd Doctor's first story, The Power of the Daleks. Okay, this perfect story, just not so great animation. But I think this is the Daleks at this point, written by David Whittaker, who did a great job with the Daleks. Does not get enough appreciation for his effort with the Daleks. Yes, but to start off with the Daleks for the 2nd Doctor's first story was a great idea. And even though people were frightened about the idea of Patrick Troughton taking over for William Hartnell, David Whittaker did a very good job of, one, giving you a very good story, where you have a Dalek, just one Dalek. That's all it takes is one Dalek. And this Dalek, by being brought to life, activates all these other Daleks and actually begins a crisis that ends up snowballing and destroying the entire colony. And we see the idea of human eccentricity of going so far, wanting to go the distance and have this new discovery, only for it to turn out it was absolutely evil and lose his mind in the entire way. The idea of corruption and betrayal, it's all there, but on top of it, you got a doctor who is newly regenerated. And what did David Whittaker do? David was smart. Oh, you beautiful person, David. David Whittaker realized, wait a minute, we got a new actor playing the Doctor for the first time. People are not going to probably be on board with this that much. So he gave Ben and Polly, especially Ben, was very skeptical, and he was dubious of this being the Doctor, and he just questioned the Doctor, saying, this kid, what? he doesn't even act like the Doctor. This, and this reason why he can't be the Doctor. Polly's like, he's got to be the Doctor. You have Ben and Polly being the voice of the audience. So bringing the audience to the Doctor and calling the Doctor to question for what he is, that's a good way of helping the audience accept him. So, very good writing, but I'm happy this is being reanimated, and I am still, can't wait to hear people's reviews about if it's good or not. Yes. Now Yeppa's number one. Guys, was there ever any doubt? Ever any doubt? From the third Doctor's first story, Spearhead from Space. It's no secret that I love this story. I just do. The beginning to an excellent season. I know some people do not like the third Doctor's era because it's set place on Earth. I like it because it just it also showed another aspect to the Doctor's character, and by having the Doctor be on Earth, it just had a whole different vibe to the Doctor Who that added a nice dynamic to eras before and after John Pertwee's era. It added a cohesion between the first, second, third, and fourth incarnations, because those are the main heavy hitting ones people always mention. You just see just a evolution of character development, but also evolution of stories and concepts. But they all have each one of them has a different feel to them, but there's a cohesion to all of them. In the third Doctor, that cohesion is really augmented. But also, this story brings the Autons. I said it correctly this time. Yes, I did. This brings the Autons and the Nestines. The idea that we've got Unit in here, and Unit's going to be prominent. We've got Liz Shaw being wonderful, sassy, and just not afraid to assert herself. We got the Brigadier in all of his glory and perfection. We have a very good plot line. It's only four episodes long, and usually I like the 6 and 8 parters, and even the 10-parter that happened once. But this story only needed 4 parts, and it worked with those 4 parts very well, and it showed Robert Holmes' incredible genius with this story. And the third Doctor, when he... I just love the fact that he's in the shower. We see the Doctor, Ultimate, in the shower. We got a Doctor. In his first story, he's, in essence, butt-ass naked in one particular scene. I'm sorry, but I like that. I'm not a puritanical person, and I like seeing how, when a man strips down and you see him nude, for me it's like, okay, people are always saying, okay, they get mad about when women are in revealing clothing, but I'm like, no, as long as men are in revealing clothing at the same time, or men have shown that they'll reveal their bodies and be nude themselves, all's fair in love and love. So, no, it's just Spirit from Space. I know some people think it's overrated. I just don't. I think it's a masterpiece, and I always have, always will. That's the way it is. And, well, okay. When it comes to these sets of stories, honorable mentions. Do I have any honorable mentions? Seriously, do I have any honorable mentions? I have no idea. When it comes to, technically speaking, the 8th Doctor's first story, Doctor Who the movie, guys, like I said before, I say it again, I don't love the movie, but I don't hate the movie either. I appreciate the good aspects of it. I'm not a big fan of the, Doctor being half-human element, but I still respect it for what it is. Time in the Ronnie, good pacing. It just starts and just keeps going and going and going. I see what Pip and Jane Baker were trying to do. I understand why people don't like it, but I don't hate it. And then Twin Dilemma, I don't think it deserves that much hate as it gets, but hey, I see why people hate that too, though, but that's the way it is. Rose, I said before, it's just a modern version of Spearhead from Space, but it's not as good to me. And the Christmas Invasion, the Doctor's in it for a couple minutes. That's a unique thing. It's unique, but it's just not going to be my favorite. And it ends with the Doctor completely ruining Harriet Jones' career, and he never apologizes to her when it turns out she really was just trying to help to the bitter end. That got unresolved. And I've not seen The Woman Who Fell to Earth more than once, and that's not enough to judge it. So guys, thank you so much for watching my ranking of my top 7 first stories of each Doctor. That is my 7 favorite. What are your favorites? Let me know in the comment section. And once again, it's nice talking to you guys. You're wonderful. You really are. Bye, guys.